After the Civil War, ex-slave Robert and Jenny Willington did not know where to go, but they knew they had relatives in Orangeburg, South Carolina. However difficult travel was, they picked up their things and made the move. Walter Drew, a white plantation owner, offered to hire them as sharecroppers. They accepted the offer and went to live on his plantation. Working on the land was not new to the Willingtons. They were born somewhere in Virginia on a plantation that raised slaves for market. They were sold to slave owners in Sumter County in South Carolina and had served them until the end of the Civil War. As free blacks, they were going to do continuously what they knew to toil with the land. Robert and Jenny gave birth to several children and were blessed to raise 5 to adulthood. They were Isaiah, John, William, Eve, and Annette. Robert and Jenny taught their children to work hard with their hands and serve God in their hearts. The children learned how to plow the land to make it yield good crops. They learned how to pick cotton and gather corn and other commodities. They learned how to build and add more rooms on the shack that the white farmer gave them to live in. Their son, Isaiah, learned tailoring at an early age and joined other relatives in Orangeburg, South Carolina. He opened his own shop and spent his life making clothes for the wealthy. His brother John loved the land and spent his entire life on the farm. Great-great-uncle William's daughter, Jenny Sy, has 17 children. We started early with a large, strong family and continued strong as the late great Willie and late Zena Johnson matched Jenny's numbers in kids with 17 of their own, 12 boys and 5 girls. With all the children, William Willington lived to be over 100 years of age. During the 1870s, the Willington became a very prominent family living in the community of Wedgefield in Sumter County. Annette and Eve, their 2 lovely daughters, sang in the choir in the little church that was built for ex-slaves. The church was called Orange Hill, was also used as a school to teach the basic reading, writing, and arithmetic. Jenny and Robert was very proud of their daughter, Eve, when she married the itinerant Methodist preacher, Alexander Phillips, who himself was an ex-slave. Eve and Alexander Phillips blessed Jenny and Robert with 9 grandchildren. Jenny and Robert's daughter, Annette, who was known as the Belle of Wedgefield. Her heart was captured by a young, handsome man named Smart Johnson, who lived on a nearby farm. The beautiful Annette and the tall, dark, and of course, handsome man, Smart, made to be a stunning couple. Annette and Smart became parents of the 4 lovely children. Their names were Bessie, Albert, Henry, and Herbert. The Johnsons and Phillips grew up together on the plantation surrounded by their loving grandparents. They would gather together often to harvest the crops or to sing and play their handmade instruments or weave baskets. In the early 1930s, the Great Depression fell upon the nation. Both blacks and whites were out of work and hunger was prevalent all over. The Johnsons had learned to survive because they had learned how to grow and preserve their own food. In 1935, Elsie, who had already been working to assist with the family finances, decided to journey to New York to seek better opportunities for employment. Many black women ventured off to New York to get domestic jobs. There was a man in Sumter they called Black Boy. He would find domestic jobs for young women of the South and then transport them to New York. As the women worked, they would pay Black Boy 50 cents a week until they finished paying him for the trip to New York. Black Boy brought Elsie to New York and placed her on a job. Elsie did not find life easy in the city. She worked very steady, but during the peak of the Depression, she found herself out of steady work. However, Elsie was very thrifty, and she was able to take care of herself and help the family at home during those difficult years of the Great Depression. The war broke out, and the Johnson boys were drafted into the military. Millions of jobs opened up all over America, and Elsie landed a job working in a factory, making supplies for the soldiers. Elsie soon found her cousin, Sarah Phillips, McDaniel, who had arrived in New York in 1929. Elsa was soon joined by her brothers, Henry Jr. and Eugene. Willie returned home from after the war, married the former Zena Austin, and created their own family of 17 children. World War II came and Herbert and Ellen's house was empty. Ellen and Herbert lived peacefully in their home for many years. Herbert would often get in his wood truck and drive out to Wedgefield to visit his Uncle William Willington, his cousin Jenny Sy, and her 17 children. He would often stop by the graveyard where his granduncles, aunts, and cousins were buried. He knew that their bodies had returned to the red clay of Orange Hill that gave rise to them, but their love still surrounded him. Herbert would probably drive back home thanking God for the grace that allowed him to pass on to the children the love for God, love for humanity, and work, the great love that his strong, loyal ancestors had so faithfully passed on to him. The Johnsons soon became comfortable in New York and became a vital force in Bethany Baptist Church of New York City. They were active members of the usher board, choir, the deaconess board, the church school, and many other organizations. The 9 Johnson children blessed their parents, Herbert and Ellen Johnson, with several grandchildren, great-grandchildren, and great-great-grandchildren, great-great-great-grandchildren, and more on the way. Within the family, we have teachers, nurses, carpenters, beauticians, computer operators, secretaries, musicians, electricians, doctors, others who are skilled workers and professionals. All are making an ample contribution to society. Today, we thank our Father for Jenny and Robert Willington, Annette and Smart Johnson, Herbert and Ellen Johnson, and a slew of cousins, uncles, relatives, and friends who helped mold this family into model citizens. God had led us from a plantation in Virginia to the slave market in South Carolina, through the factories in New York, and to the hope for a fine tomorrow. So we marched onward and upward. We carry in our hearts an appreciation of love in the past, a love for Christ in the present, and hope in Jesus in the future. We also honor those who have dedicated their entire lives to our family and cherish every moment we had with them. Let us not forget the contribution these individuals made to our lives and to the world.